So I'm like a monkey stand right now. So we reached Java, and in the distance, if I zoom in, you can see Merapi volcano. This is Banyuwangi, a small city of 2 million people. So we're at the base of Mount Ijen right now, and it's 1:30 a.m. and we're gonna try to hike up the volcano for sunrise. Hopefully, with some visibility, we're gonna get to see some blue flames. Alright, we're using a taxi for my mom because she's very unfit. There in the distance, we see some blue flames. Behind me right now is, I think I can do that. Behind me is the volcanic crater, and on the other side you see there's a lot of yellow stuff, which is the sulfur that the miners here come down to get. I think I'm pretty much at the highest point of this mountain right now. And this is the very first place that I've been to in a long time that really reminds me of Iceland. That should give you an idea of how beautiful it is. If you look behind me, there's that blue lake in the volcanic crater, which looks a lot like the Blue Lagoon in Iceland. That one's actually highly acidic, and it's probably not what you want to go swimming in. Unsurprisingly, the hike back down looks a lot prettier than it did on the way up, now that we have a little bit of daylight to work with. After a lot of walking, we finally made it down. We're gonna have some breakfast and head out to Burma. Thank you for watching this video. If you're just looking for pro tips on visiting Ijen Volcano, I would recommend skipping this video by 2 minutes and we can get to that. So this was our first day in Java, which happens to be my favorite island that I've ever been to. So we drove from the southern end of Bali to go to this port on the northwestern edge of the island. And from there we took a 30-minute ferry to get to Java. And over there we met Chahyo, who was our guide for the next 3 days. And we headed into this city called Banyangi. We had to go to bed really early, wake up at 1 a.m. to take a jeep ride to Ijen Base Camp. And from there we hiked for the next couple of hours to get to the top of the volcano. Well, I did the hiking, my mom was just on a wheelbarrow, but more on that later. So Ijen Crater has, I believe, the largest sulfuric acid lake in the world, which you can see from the top without even going down. But if you go down, then you can see the infamous blue flames that are caused by the sulfuric acid burning naturally in the bottom of the craters. And this is the only place on Earth where you can see something like that. And it was really cool to see. You can't really see it in daylight, which is why you have to wake up at 1 a.m. and make this hike in the middle of the night. I would strongly recommend coming and visiting Ijen if you have 1 or 2 days in Eastern Java or even in Bali, because I don't think you can see anything like that anywhere else in the world. One really underrated aspect of this trip to Ijen was getting to see the sulfur miners work there while we were visiting. So these are people that carry over 50 pounds of sulfur on their back and make this not easy at all hike up and down the volcano and into the crater and up again. It looked really cool, but at the same time it also looked incredibly difficult, made me really appreciate my job more and the fact that I don't have to do something like that on a regular basis to make a living. Moving on to tips for visiting Ijen Volcano. Tip number 1. If you have any existing breathing conditions, or if you have really sensitive eyes, this might not be the trip for you. There are a lot of gases at the bottom of the crater, and if you have an existing medical condition like asthma, this is definitely not ideal for you. You could, however, go to the top and wait there, which is what my mom did. If you have sensitive eyes, unless you're carrying around your goggles from your chem lab, I wouldn't recommend going down into the crater either. For those of you who are not in the best of shape, like my mom, who's pushing 60 but is more out of shape than your average 90-year-old woman, there are people with wheelbarrow taxis that will give you a ride to the top of the volcano. Tip number 3, and this is important for a lot of places in Indonesia, including Bali. If you're going there, try to go there in the dry season, which is between the months of May and October. Because this hike would be a lot harder if you had to do it when the ground was muddy or if it was raining. Bring your own headlamps, you're absolutely going to need it. If you don't have it, you're probably going to have to buy it for extra at the bottom of the volcano. Also bring warm clothes, because most of Indonesia, you don't really need a jacket. It's tropical weather all year round. Bromo and Ijen are the exceptions. You will definitely need a jacket. Bring water with you, but don't bring a heavy backpack because you'll be carrying that up the volcano and down the crater, then up the crater, which is pretty steep. Tip number 7, remember that going into the crater is a lot more dangerous or a lot more extreme than just doing the hike up the volcano. The hike up the volcano is not too bad. It can be a little steep at times, but it's not the worst. If you're not a fan of trying to plan everything out, figure out how you're gonna get there in the middle of the night, figuring out how you're gonna go to the top, go down and go back up again, it might be worth it for you to get a guide. We got a guide who took us to Ijen and then on to Bromo. Is this guy named Chahyo, who was amazing. He has his own company called Java Amazing, which I'd recommend you look up. It was very good service for a very reasonable price. And this is not sponsored, by the way. This is just my personal opinion on this. If you don't want a guide, you can totally do this without one. I saw a lot of other people, young and old, who are doing this without a guide. But that just adds a little bit of extra uncertainty to everything. That's it for this week. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you want to watch more videos, and comment if you have any questions. I'll see you guys next week with another video from Java.